Welcome to the Vision Room, a brand new podcast series from Vision Scotland. I'm your host, Heather Sutty, and in this series, I sit down with visionaries in their field, people who've built successful careers and bring perspectives shaped by their worldview. Today's guest is a world-renowned photographer whose work you will almost certainly recognise. He's photographed many icons, including Sir Sean Connery, Sir Billy Connolly, Sophia Loren, Lauren Bacall, Daryl Hannah, and very many more. He was also the official Commonwealth Games photographer in 2014. His portraits are known for their honesty. People love relaxing around him, and that's what comes through in his brilliant portraits. Alistair Devine brings real warmth and humour to every shoot, and that's why so many big names choose to work with him. Today, we'll talk about his career, how he sees the world through the lens, and why our eyesight matters more than we think. Alistair Devine, welcome to the podcast.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Now, you have photographed some incredible people in your career. At what age did you decide, I want to be a photographer?
Oh, probably when I was about 6. I used to take family pictures with a wee Kodak Vector camera. Gave that up about 11 when I went into secondary school. I was also a bit of a thespian and get a bit of a doing in the occasional time. I sort of lost it a bit with photography, but I picked it up again when I was in 6th year, and I really got into it and managed to get myself a job in the Glasgow Herald.
Amazing. Now, I remember being at school and I studied photography, and at that point, obviously, digital film didn't exist. So you had to take, a photo, and then you had to go into a processing room with a red light and do it in trays. It was almost like a chemistry experiment, wasn't it?
Absolutely. But in newspapers, we had darkroom staff to do that most of the time, and they were better printers than the likes of I was. But yeah, it's called hands wet when you use chemicals, etc. And yeah, I went through all that business. I changed thousands of gallons of chemicals for the photographers when I was the gopher.
Yeah.
And it used to drive me potty.
How did you land a job at the Glasgow Herald, as it was known at that time? Because newspapers in the 70s, 80s, 90s, those were booming industries, weren't they?
Oh, absolutely. Newspapers in those days were the internet of the world, and everybody bought a newspaper. I think Scotland per capita bought more newspapers than any other country in Europe. Well, that's a fact. For instance, the Daily Record back in the 80s sold 750,000 copies a day. That meant that 2.5 people, Dad buys the paper, 2.5 people read it. Half the people of Scotland read the Daily Record. Now they sell about 32,000. Yeah, in those days, fantastic. I wrote a very nice letter in telling them I was a genius with a camera. And I just told them I was very enthusiastic. And timing is everything. And at that point, the gopher he was going up the ladder to become a printer. So I get the job as a gopher. Okay.
And being a gopher, or a runner, as we call it these days, that gives you a fabulous world eye view of how newspapers and how stories develop, and the importance of imagery.
Absolutely. The very first day I went in, I was obviously nervous. I came home. The excitement, it was, I got everybody in the house going. I couldn't believe how brilliant work was. It was astonishing. I fell in love with newspapers right away. It was as if I'd kind of been on a plane for a long, long time and landed exactly where I wanted to get to, but I didn't really know that at the start of the journey. And I've been in love with newspapers and print ever since then. Yeah.
Taking a great photograph is storytelling, really, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes.
And what are the qualities that make up an exceptional photograph?
Well, there's different types of photography, obviously. But in newspapers, there's two types of picture you can take. You can take the one where you record the event. Now, it might be a football match, it might be a royal wedding, it could be anything like that, something that's not in your control. Now, some photographers are very good at that. Others are either lazy or not so good. That wasn't my kind of gaff. I preferred going one-on-one with people. My style kind of gets an acceptance with that, and working with people and just chatting to them and giving them my ideas for how I would see them. I absolutely love that, because how you get round that is difficult. Personality is paramount with me, absolutely paramount. You can't get a degree in personality at Glasgow Uni. You can't go into Harrods and buy £2,000 worth of the stuff. And you've got to cultivate it. I've spent years cultivating it, years. But that's how I kind of like to work. And it worked a treat in newspapers, because I specialised in photographing people.
Now, I know that you did an acclaimed series of portraits when you worked at the Herald, but I also know that you were the first photographer on the scene of the Lockerbie disaster.
I think I was actually the second. We were there very, very quickly after it, and it was horrible. Although it was a bit like walking into somebody's dream. The part of the town was smouldering, where the plane came down. But where there's a disaster, you've usually got lots and lots and lots of fire engines, ambulances, blue lights, sirens. That had all stopped because there were no survivors. And it was very, very eerie. And I remember walking through a field. We get dropped off on the M74, which is beside Lockerbie. They'd shut the town off. We had to walk over a field. And the following morning, I was really distressed when the police happened to say that field was littered with bodies. We're amazed you didn't stand or fall in one. And when we got to the area of Sherwood, it really was like a movie scene. It was just it was very eerily quiet. I've never witnessed anything like that before in my life.
And in your role as a photographer, not just doing portraits, but obviously covering news, because as and when a job comes up, that's what you have to do. Have you ever found yourself in any particularly dangerous scenarios? Yeah, quite a lot, actually. And most photographers have. I was in the middle of a famous riot at Hampden Park, a Rangers Celtic Cup final, when both sets of fans invaded the park. And it was about 5,000 aside, and had a mass fight. And quite a lot of my colleagues were hospitalised, one for 3 months. But I've got into some dodgy situations. I was caught in a live minefield in the Falklands, on a beach, anti-personnel mines. It was quite scary, but I figured a way out. The beach had... it was in the middle of winter. It was freezing, and tributaries going down into the sea, into the South Atlantic. And I thought, Christ, how am I going to get out of this? Because the soldier I was with suddenly realised when he saw dead penguins all over the place, we were in a minefield. So I thought, right, get to that tributary. It was frozen, and you could see what was underneath it. We walked off that way. One of Steve Irwin's crocodiles decided he wanted a bit of me when I was photographing him. And I felt the downdraft of the snap. But the worst one, without a doubt, was I had to, it was in Australia when I worked there. And I had to photograph a chap who fed sharks for a living in a deep sea world. The deep sea world was massive. And so I had to get the air tanks on and go in with the guy. It's one of these places where there's the moving escalators covered by perspex for the punters to watch. And they gave me a safety course for about an hour before they let me in. And there were grey nurse sharks. They're not man-eaters,
But when you see a 10-foot shark underwater up close and personal, it can become a wee bit scary. The guys did warn me. They said, if this shark wants you out the road, it will do something. So I just finished the pictures of the shark expert hand feeding this shark. And it turned, and it's about maybe 2 feet from me, and it looked at me. And then right on the F of the, what the fuck is going on here? Bang, it headbutted me. And my breathing apparatus fell out. Now, they had warned me, if anything happens, there were safety divers in, and they jumped in, and they were real pros, and they got me calm, composed, got me breathing again, fortunately, and they gave me the sign to swim out. So I started swimming out, and this is where it get really scary. Behind a giant rock in this deep sea world, there was a tunnel for the sharks to swim out of. And I'm swimming up the tunnel, and I'm aware there's something beside me. The bloody shark came up a 30-yard tunnel with me. It was like a Bond movie. And you come out in a swimming pool, and there were 5 of them in the swimming pool, and I had to wade through them.
Oh my gosh.
And that was scary.
What happened to your camera? Did you drop it, or was it still round your neck?
No, it was round my neck.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the pictures were fine. Absolutely fine. But I was a wee bit shaky after that one.
Yeah, I can imagine. And moving on to the Commonwealth Games,
Yep.
Which obviously took place here in Scotland in 2014.
Yeah.
What was that like, landing that gig? Like, did they come to you and say, you're the best, we want you? Or how did it come about?
I probably told them I was the best. No, I didn't. I got a call about a possible huge commission, and I had to actually started the work in 2013, photographing our top athletes throughout Scotland. They gave me carte blanche. Do what you want to do. You can do anything with them. So I took this picture of Michael Jameson, who was our world record holder at the time. That's it here. He was a world record breaststroke champion. And I photographed him in Loch Lomond to get that image. There's no Photoshop. There was no such thing as AI in those days, which I'm eternally grateful, because lots of people say to me with my pictures, oh, that's AI, and it's not. That was done by, I discovered that if you use a black box, half an inch below the water level, you can stand somebody up and you won't see the black box beneath it. And that's what we did with Michael, and that became the poster boy image of the games. But it was a great gig because it took altogether, it was about a year doing those shots. Sadly, I don't think the Commonwealth Games is going to be nearly as big as the last one, because there was great excitement in the city in the lead up. From 6 months right up to the games, and we had a heat wave as well.
Yeah, the weather was amazing.
It's great.
In terms of some of the most famous people that you've interviewed, I mentioned Sir Billy Connolly, Sir Sean Connery, Ewan McGregor, Daryl Hannah, Sophia Loren, Lauren Bacall. I know that makes you sound 100 and you're not.
Yep. Thanks, darling.
But who's been your most favourite experience of doing a portrait?
Definitely Sophia Loren. I was about 22, and I couldn't believe the boss said, look, go along to the Albany Hotel. They're expecting you. Okay, who is it? Sophia Loren. And I was shaking going up in the lift. I was shaking, and I thought, my God. And they showed me into her suite, and it was just her and me, and she was absolutely beyond wonderful. She's obviously very experienced at getting young men who were shaking when they saw her, and she made me, it's my job to relax them. She got me relaxed. She was beautiful, wonderful, incredibly mannerly, and style. She had great style, dignity, elegance. She had absolutely everything. She was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Any nightmares that you're able to divulge?
Yep. And it was a lesson. It was a life lesson in photography. And funnily enough, it happened at the Albany Hotel about 2 years before that. Johnny Cash was a massive star in the 70s. And the paper got a whisper that when he plays in a town, he likes to go out walking very early in the morning. So they said, look, go along back to the Albany Hotel. That's where all the stars stayed at the time in Glasgow. And I went along to the Albany, and I was really nervous about this. Johnny Cash, a boy named Sue, massive world star, and physically a big man. Mm. And I was really worried about this. And as I walked towards the hotel, he came walking out the doors, obviously for his walk. And I've never told anybody this. I bottled it. Uh-huh. I absolutely bottled it. I just kept on walking up to reception. And when I was in my early 20s, I looked about 15. Mm-hmm. And I thought, this guy's not going to entertain me. And I lost it. The point of the story is, I really beat myself up after it on that. I didn't tell anybody. I just told the office he'd left for his walk, and they told me to come back. But I really beat myself up on it. And I said, right, kiddo, if you're going to do this properly, you're going to have to engage with people, and you're going to have to engage on your terms. So you're going to have to buckle up to it. And that was a big, big, big turning point in my career.
Sometimes it's when things don't work out that we learn the most.
Absolutely. You learn from mistakes, and you don't get too complacent about confidence. That's when things get tricky. I kind of did that. I suffered from that a little bit in the early 2000s. I wouldn't say I got complacent, but I could have I could definitely have sharpened up in technology, because I'm absolutely atrocious with technology. My Photoshop skills are akin to that of a deceased rat named Henry. I mean, they're just non-existent.
But that's okay, because that's what teamwork's for.
Yeah.
Now, how important is it when you first meet a subject, eye contact? How important is eye contact?
Well, massively. Funnily enough, when I arrived here today, one of the ladies said, how are you? And I said, terrible. And she laughed. Well, you would remember a guy called Steve Harley?
Yes.
I had to photograph him. And I walked into the Central Hotel in Glasgow, and he told me to go up to his room, knocked on the door, and he said, hello, mate, how you doing? And I said, I had a cold at the time. I said, bloody terrible. He said, in you come. And he dialed up room service. There were no mini bars in those days. And he said, send up a triple brandy. Oh, brilliant. However, I did the pictures, and later on in the day, the boss said to me, that's a really strong set of pictures you had there. And I said, yeah, it was really good to work with. What I discovered, I really thought about that, how that came about from chapping the door. And a word in the 90s became very prominent. It was ice-breaking. Mm-hmm. But I had got it in the 70s. And I realised that by not saying, how you doing? Oh, fine, how are you? I said something he found very funny. Mm-hmm. And I've used that so often because it breaks the ice. Mm-hmm. And again, great life experience. Having that experience for me, very important. Very, very important. Make the subject relaxed. If you don't, you'll not get the pictures that you want or the vision that you have in here. Because before I photograph somebody, I see it up here. Mm-hmm. I frame it up here. I think about the whole composition. So technically, the easy bit should be actually photographing them if you've got them on your side, mm-hmm. if they're with you in the whole thing. Mm-hmm. It's very important.
So you've covered film stars.
Yep.
You've covered authors,
Yep.
sports people. You're a big fan of dancers, and you've worked with ballet dancers.
Absolutely. Ballet dancers are fantastic to work with because it's from my side of the camera, I choreograph everything. And with dancers, you ultimately control their body because they're so damn fit that you can place them. And if it doesn't quite look right, you could say, could you make that jump about 2 inches to your left?
Mm-hmm.
And they'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
And not only will they do it, repete, they can do it again and again and again. They're so fit. They're fantastic to work with. And I brought along another image that I was commissioned by the Royal Conservatoire, Scotland, to do a session pictures with 6 different students. And one of them was a ballet dancer, and I decided to do a night shot at the Kelpies, which was done about 3 summers ago. It was shot at 10:30 at night, so we still had light and a beautiful sky. And I took this image here of the ballet dancer who was from New Zealand.
Wow.
And
the composition's amazing, the lighting, the sky, even look at the sky.
The hand is here. The important thing is that her body never touched any part of the horses. That was the important thing. And to take that picture, she's only 5 feet in the air. I used a trampette, which is a mini trampoline. Mm-hmm. I lay in my back and put a couple of lights on it, and bingo. Wow. Got it. But again, I just told her, could you just bring that back a wee bit and come a bit forward? They're brilliant to work with, dancers. Absolutely brilliant. I love it.
Have you always had great vision? Because obviously eyesight is the most important element of what you do.
Yep.
So have you always had good eye health?
Oh, yeah, pretty good. The first time I noticed it was one of my eyes was slightly dodgy. It was actually covering a football match at Ibrox. And I didn't do much football, and I was looking at the scoreboard at the other end, and I thought, that looks a wee bit out of whack to me. Mm-hmm. But I've been very lucky with my eyesight. I've been very lucky with my health in general. I'm very, very rarely ill.
When you meet a subject, like, what do you see? Like, what do you see when you see me, when you sit opposite me now? Like, because you talk about having that intuitive feel for personality, and it's not just your personality, because what your images do so beautifully is not just capture a moment, they capture the personality. So what do you see when you sit opposite someone? Well, I try to... This can happen various ways. With some people, you have to induce the situation. With some people, they're very, very natural. Like if yourself, you're really, really natural. But with other people, it can be difficult, where you kind of have to pull it out of them. But this is what I go back to about earlier. The trick in all this is to get them relaxed right away. Mm-hmm. That's the number one. I would say that's the number one thing that I have to be able to do. Yeah, without a doubt. It's so important the way I operate. Different photographers have got different styles, but I always want to know ultimately what I want to do, or I always go with an idea. As we age, our eye health degenerates. Yep. Do you wear glasses? Have you ever considered vision correction? Like, what state are your eyes in? My right eye's spot on. My left eye is a wee bit dodgy. I would imagine I'll need cataract surgery at some stage of the game. At the moment, no. I only started wearing glasses, I think about 52, 53, I started wearing glasses. I need glasses to watch football because sometimes the play's 100 metres away and that's a bit far. Finally, my last question is, what are you working on now? Like, do you still get a call on a weekly basis to see? Yeah. And in fact, you know Sarah Purser. Yes, indeed. I've just been commissioned to take a series of pictures of an actress round the West Coast. I can't really say too much about it. Okay. But I've started the location work for that. Amazing.
And yeah, the diaries, there's always things. I'm always shooting every week, always. Yeah.
Okay. Any plans to write a book?
I did. I was asked to write a book maybe about 15 years ago, and I had talks with them, but I would quite like to have written it. I've got a distinctive writing style, but I'm a very slow writer. I'm not natural, but I carry a line, but it would take me an awful long time. And also a lot of the pictures that would be referenced, I can't use them because of copyright issues.
Got you.
So unfortunately, it's a pity because the title of the book was going to be I Shoot People for a Living, which I liked as I came up with that title. And the publishers loved it, but nah, it would take me too long now.
Alistair Devine, thank you very much for joining us on the Vision Room podcast from Vision Scotland.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks.